what is the most advanced and complex, all-encompassing spirituality science protocol that I know of? Because I've studied widely, from various masters, different schools of thought, and so forth. And there is one field called Kashmiri Saivism. It's not Vedanta and not Satanda, right? It is very complex, right? But I will try to demystify it and simplify it so you can get the gist of it and not just listen to people saying, it's so complex. To find what's the complicated and just give a summary, of everything so that you have an understanding. So it can broaden your awareness. So I will discuss that in this video. And I would like to ask a special favor of you. If you like the contents of my video, please don't forget to also like and also subscribe if you haven't already, to my channel. This is going to greatly help my channel to reach out to more people. And one extra optional, while you're at it, drop a comment and share it with one or two of your friends or your social media channels. That's it. And I would very highly appreciate that. And thank you anyway, just from my bottom of my heart, for spending some time with me. I know time is very precious these days, right? And it's a expensive commodity. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Osman. I'm a bioenergy healer on a master level with telepathic healing capabilities, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses. Of course, also amongst a host of other physiological, psychological, and even spiritual ailments. I have amazing, promotion. You can get a 10-minute anxiety fix for just $5, less than the price of a Starbucks coffee, and delivered to you anywhere globally in the world, telepathically, instantly, and pay only if you're satisfied. Visit my website, yogawellness786.com, for more contact information and to be able to reach out to me if you need this, right? Quick fix for 10 minutes. And of course, if it doesn't help you, if you're not satisfied, I don't want your payment, right? And usually, if some people have very serious levels, then I need to do a little bit longer, right, for them. So the next thing is that, I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having been practiced this art form for almost 50 years and teaching for 44 years. In that time, I've studied under various teachers from different schools of thought, from different cultures across the globe, from the Far Eastern cultures, the Eastern cultures, the Middle Eastern cultures, and the Western cultures, including the scientific communities, right? And I put together my own unique protocols, making them basically much easier, faster, quicker, more time efficient, and results oriented, basically adapted for the 21st century. To that end, I now have students in over 100 countries. And my favorite protocol that I created is my 5-minute yoga and meditation program, which you can download for free from my website, your yogawellness786.com, right? Yogawellness786.com. You visit it, you can download it for free in exchange for subscribing to my blog, and where you can also get more information about my services and contact information. So also remember that my therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment, right? So coming back to Kashmiri Saivism, I said, if you think Vedanta or Advaita, from Vedanta, the most complicated part of Vedanta is Advaita philosophy. And it's really mind-bending. In Advaita philosophy, there's 6 different schools of thought that don't agree with each other. And if you want to go crazy, go and study this and the different school. It's not easy to understand. You have to be on a high level of meditation advancement where your higher faculties of your mind is open, because the default method that you're born with, you're not going to be able to understand. It's very subtle aspects that is brought about. So to give you an idea, there is Swami Vivekananda, who gave his famous speech in 1902, I think it was 1902, to the United Way, addressed the United Nations in London. He was sent by his teacher Ramakrishna to go to the West to teach the science of yoga, to the Western world. And he addressed the nation, and he just greeted everyone, good day or something, my brothers and sisters, and everyone gave him a standing ovation with the energy with which he said it, not just his words. It was like full 2 minute or 3 minute or 5 minute applause, and it's recorded on video. You can see it on YouTube as well, right? And then he addressed. But when he was in London, he gave a lot of lectures, and his students compiled all his lectures and created a 9-volume edition of a collection of his lectures. You can Google Ramakrishna Center and the 9-volume edition of the lectures of Swami Vivekananda. It is like a summary study of Advaita philosophy from his perspective, not from the 6 schools of thought, right? So you have to dive in. So you get an idea. So you must know these people are very interested in yoga, who wrote the book, right? And they are practicing initiated people on probably medium to advanced levels. And they made a editor's note or publisher's note that there's many aspects in the lectures that they still don't understand. That no one was able to explain that some of the things that Swami Vivekananda spoke about, they couldn't understand. But I had, many advanced levels of meditation experience when I studied. So I understood everything because I came from an experiential perspective, advanced experiential perspective. So this is very complicated. It take decades before you can understand Advaita philosophy, right? I'm trying to explain how difficult Kashmiri Saivism. It's like now Advaita philosophy is kindergarten, compared to Kashmiri Saivism. So Kashmiri Saivism basically has got 4 parts to it. So the 4 parts is the easiest to the most difficult, right? Or the most difficult to the easiest but most complex, right? So it seems like a mind jugglery. The most difficult, level 1, is very difficult to to get success in, but a very simple method. It's just say do one thing, but to do that one thing, it's like you don't know how to do it. You can't bring your mind to doing it, right? Then you bring to level 2. Level 2 is more structured, but they give you 112 methods to choose from. To study one method, Vedanta took me 28 years. How are you going to study 112 methods, right? So this is some of the complexity, but I mean, you can quickly browse through which method, is better for you and so forth. And you can't really know it theoretically only. You have to have some practice and experience to know what's working for you. That's how. And then decades can go when you're practicing, right? So this is the complexity. It's simpler because it's structured, and then you get a level below that, which is Kundalini Yoga, which falls under Kundalini Yoga, and worshipping a physical form, God in the aspect of goddess, because according to the very deep philosophies, that God is not male, that he's female. So I'm saying it's like I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? They say is neither male nor female or anything, right? But you're coming to an aspect or the energy, because there's according to the theory, there is God who is uncreated, beyond inconceivable, is not occupying time and space and all that, right? There's no construct. But before he created, he had to create the energy, that from the energy came about all of the creation, right? That's the theory, right? So that energy, called the universal energy or the cosmic energy, which is the form of all the multiverse, right? The various universes and so forth, is the most amazing energy that penetrates every atom, that makes the electrons to flow, to spin around every atom, makes the atoms stick together and create objects. And energy is everywhere. Without the energy, existence cannot sustain, and it comes from that subtle form. So that was initially created, and the Kashmiri Saivites, or the Hindus, right, as people normally call them now, Hindus, which is completely, you've got no idea how wrong that statement is, right? Because there's so much diversity of religions within the Indian subcontinent. When I studied those, I'm not from India, I'm from South Africa. um, so in the third level, they worshipping from the energetic, the creation point of view, like the causal energy got your back. But they go even deeper. So from Ramakrishna perspective, the teacher of Swami Vivekananda. So these names will become familiar to you when you start studying these fields. And these were like icons in the fields of yoga and meditation, from 1902, who brought yoga and meditation to the Western world in the English language, right? So instrumental in my development, was their philosophies and understanding that helped me to get a grip, on this field, which is like it's like a hard nut to crack, right? So in this level, they worship the energy in a form, in a goddess form, and they have a deity like statues, and they empower it with certain powerful mantras that the energy is concentrated there, and people can go there and experience difference, a shift in energy when you in that center, close to where that energy is, installed, and consecrated to have a greater impact. So that's why people visit to experience, to be bathed in that energy. And Ramakrishna, the teacher of Swami Vivekananda, he worshipped God, the goddess Kali. He was appointed as a priest in Dakshineshwar. I think it's in Calcutta, in India. Bengali people, or the Bengal area of India, but the city Calcutta, you get Dakshineshwar. It's along the banks of certain, I don't know which river, Yamuna River, or which, but there's a big river along it. And he used to go crazy and worship, and he wants to see, is this a stone or is it really God? He wants to see the God. And then he experienced, and he was, of course, very advanced in meditation and this thing. He experienced the advancement of enlightenment in multiple religions, including the Islamic faith and the Hindu faith and the Christian faith and the Buddhist faith. And he described how was his experience, how was his. This is, the pathways are different, but the ultimate end is still the same. So he experienced as a flash of light initially, and he went deeper, and then eventually the flash of behind that flash of light came the beautiful form of the goddess in a, of course, in a female. And they said, no, definitely is female. God is female. And so those who say God, why can't God be female? According to this science, and I went deep into it, because there's no male God, right? Because the level above the cause, or the big boss, the cause of the energy, the representation of the energy is female. The cause of it is inconceivable. So whom everyone refers to as the father, the cause of the causal energy, is because the cause of it, the proximate cause, is we can't explain, we can't see it, we can't experience. There's no time, no concept beyond mind, beyond, and you experience it in meditation when you lose the sense of I, your ego, your mind, everything in the delta level, and you experience it daily when you go to sleep, in deep sleep. You're connected with the ultimate cause of everything, right? To what people refer to as male, right? But there's no male form, and you can't see, right? There's no such thing, inconceivable, right? But the conceivable part, the energetic part, because people need to work with something that they could conceive as well, is female, right? So if you go on that level and that aspect, so that is level 3 of Kashmiri Saivism, and they have mantra, and they meditate on the form of God as a god, as a goddess, and there's a lot of rituals, and devotion and sacrifices. They make ritual sacrifices, to that. This is the third level, which is a bit more complex, because people say, what is this? This is a stone, and you praying to a stone, and you worship, you sacrificing animals to a stone. They're not understanding. It's a bit more complex, because you have to follow like a lot of rituals and rules and regulations and so forth, right? But it is something that people can, be a little bit easier for them to adopt than the second level of, the 112 path, which is called Shaivism, right? The Shaivat path, and the third one called the Shakti path, right? The Shakti pathway. And then the fourth level, which is everyone can very easily, you don't have to be, on a very high level or anything, you can adopt, but the most difficult, right? So the simplest but most complicated, and the most complicated but simplest to adopt, right? Because it's just a mindset. So I'll tell you why it's so complicated, right? So that level, you see God in everything. That because nothing can exist without the energy of God. God is closer to everything and everyone. Not an atom can move without there being. So I'm talking from philosophy, right? We don't believe in God. This come from philosophical explaining Kashmiri Sahibs, right? We're not in whether it is true or not true. We're talking about their belief system, right? I'm not trying to force that into you. Myself, I'm not a practitioner of Kashmiri Saivism or anything. I'm a Muslim, right? But I do meditation, yoga from a wellness perspective, and these are scientifically proven to be, helpful for people, right? So in this fourth level, where you treat everything as God and you see God in everything and everyone, and now you're able to forgive because without the will of God, nothing is going to happen. And you go to that to be able to think like that is very difficult because how do you say this is God that broke into your home with five people, gang tied you up, and gang raped your wife in your presence? How are you going to forgive them and say this is God? Or someone who drove over your child. How do you forgive them? Where he was driving drunk, not supposed to be drinking and driving, and your child is gone. He's no more alive, right? He's 7 years old, 8 years old, innocent child is dead. And there was, how you can see God in that person, right? And the guy was so frustrating and irritating at work. Everyone got that one frustrating, irritating guy, unless you that guy, right? If you don't know, maybe you that guy. And can't, so how are you going to see God in that? But the fourth level is to see God and energy everywhere. Everything is energy, and without energy nothing can exist, and the energy's got your back, and this is easier. So people are getting, it's a more pluralistic way. You accept all religions and you're not biased with anything, and you see that everything is ultimately energy, you know and God, or if those who are religious, God, right, is in every way. See God in everything and everyone, even the negative things in everything, right? Is the fourth level. So this is the four levels of Kashmiri Saivism. If you study it, it's very mind-boggling because they have protocols and programs how to advance in everything, and like the Shaktiism comes from that. The Kundalini Yoga, right? The Kundalini Yoga comes from the third level, the Shaktiism, and Saivism, or the monotheistic type of religions, and polytheistic religions, but more where the concept of God is one, and the different yoga pathways, yoga sciences and so forth is the second level. And yoga is not for everyone. I'm teaching for 44 years, right? And you can speak till you're blue in your face and give free classes, and always taught basic yoga and meditation for free. Always, till today, right? Basic yoga and meditation. I only charge for advanced things, right? And so offering, and it's so beneficial. There's so much scientific evidence, over 50,000 scientific reports on the benefits of mindfulness meditation, right? But how many are practicing? It's hard to know a single person, right? Just one in 10,000, or one in 1,000, right? Not even one in 100, right? One in 1,000 probably, was designed for level 2, the 112 pathways, right? And then level 1, let's discuss level 1. That is so simple, but it's so difficult, right? It is, you become, you don't worry about following any pathway. You just become perfect on your own. Like certain people are perfect by their nature. Like you get the prophets like Jesus, Moses, um, uh, Buddha, the Prophet Muhammad. They were considered like perfected beings. They had inspiration, and they, spoke mysticism. And some people say they were false and so forth, but other people say no. And I mean, are you going to fall there? Let's look at the most famous guy, right? Sorry for saying guy, and I mean no offense, right? Let's look at the most famous person, a personality, right? Let's speak in that way, Jesus, right? what fault can you attribute to him? What negativity, right? He's such an amazing person. He was like, you say if someone slaps you, turn the other cheek, always forgiving. The people crucified him. What does he say? What was his last prayer? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I mean, this personality is the ultimate, right? So to become like that in and of yourself, without going for initiation to some spiritual master, and you just eventually, you like, through faith or devotion or your own introspection, you become, and um, you can manifest very easily. Law of manifestation works, but how does one? It's like very rare. People say don't even think of it, right? Because not even possible. So from that, to give you an interesting personal perspective, because I'm not afraid to give my opinions, right? It's my opinion. I'm not meaning any disrespect to anything. And those who feel that I'm talking nonsense, I mean, I respect that. It's your opinion, right? I don't agree with you, right? You can do what you want. You want to murder me and things, fine. I'm not afraid of that. But I will still give my opinion, right? So how did I become advanced? Because you can't go to advanced level without some form of initiation or spiritual initiation, right? So I've got no guru, I've got no spiritual teacher, in the physical world, right? Let's talk in that way, right? Because it's about spirituality. We believe that there is, at least a quantum dimension, the dimension of the mind space, right? And so I've got no teacher, no one taught me. I've had samadhi experiences, and when I collapsed, in places of prayer and worship, where advanced meditation practitioners and initiated people are priests and so forth, they come and they wonder how come I'm having such an advanced level experience, a samadhi experience, and collapse, and I'm recovering, and they say, who initiated me? I said, no, I'm not initiated. It's impossible. Impossible. How you can do it? I'm practicing, yoga from childhood. But so how many people is practicing yoga? Millions, right? The physical person, millions. Are they all like going to samadhi? No. So I just practice one mystical practice, because hatha yoga didn't take me into any mysticism. It just created me in the alpha state within 2-3 years, right? By the age of 13, I was noticeably in the alpha state. And once I just tried mantra after about by the age of 19. The first day I started to feel like slight bliss, and it started to grow day by day. Within a month or 2 months, I think about 2 months, I went into complete bliss collapse, right? So these are, when I explained it to the people that I'm feeling, where I feel bliss when I, chant this mantra, these were like priests in this organizations or high level people, got absolutely angry, said, how can you say such a thing? This is impossible. We have so many decades, we don't feel it. And you are just a normal guy. You're not even practicing any spiritual practices. You consume alcohol, you're eating meat, you're eating beef, you're eating pork, and all these things. And they can see I'm a debaucher, right? Because I look like a debaucher at that time. Like 104 kgs, and you could see this guy drinks a lot of whiskey. He loves whiskey. He loves his whiskey, right? And loves his meat, right? And I'm feeling that this thing, right? Ecstasy. It just happened. I don't know how, right? And when I try something, I advance very fast in it, and I have amazing, and all the knowledge in my videos. It's like it's not written in any books, but I come to the conclusions and I understand things like in a flash. So I can see things in a flash. It comes into a mind in a flash. So this is the level 1 description, where without the need for going to a formal school of thought, a formal level. So I'm teaching many things, and like especially the scientific sides of things, like the yoga postures, breath work, and meditation, and the kriya. Right? These are the 4 things that I stick to. I don't bring religion into. Yes, I have my own faith, and I don't wear my faith on my sleeve. It's got nothing to do with anyone else, right? That's my own personal thing between me and my maker, whether I have a faith or don't have a faith. And maybe my faith is Satanism, right? Which I've been called 666 as well. because of my energy healing, and they felt, I'm Satan himself and so forth, right? So I've been called 666. No one called me a divine person, but they called me Satan. It's so funny for me. And far from it, I mean, honestly, I'm a very religious person, practitioner of my religion, to a level much higher than, like, I'm like fanatical, in the religion, but internally phlegm. Outside, I'm very like normal, like equal mind, balanced, like always flirting, like I'm. You, I once was called a playboy and a womanizer. I got very upset, right? Recently, about 2 years ago, or a year ago, right? And I was very upset that they said such a thing. But if I look at my track record and all the people who know me, no one will disagree. They say, how can you even not accept that statement, right? So last year alone, in 2024, now it's 2025 when I'm making the video, I had 25 marriage proposals, right, from women. So why? I know how to. So I'm very nuanced in my communication. I understand women, because women, I believe, because I'm advanced in yoga meditation, I'm more aware of the subtle things in conversation. I notice uh, what is said between words, what is between the lines, right? When a woman says this, what she really means, right? And I promise you, you're not going to believe that there was one woman, right? I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I should be embarrassed to say it. I'm divorced 6 times, right? And so, I mean, logically speaking, the fault is not in the others, the fault is in me, right? But I wasn't unfaithful to any of my wives ever, right? Never. And I was always giving them the best, loving and caring, never physical with them or anything, right? Or not violent person, and very patient, and worked very hard to provide everything for them, right? And but the one, because every time I married, I tried to marry better and more beautiful, right? So, but the sixth one was amazing, right? I mean, people were even saying, are you crazy? How can you marry someone so beautiful? I'll be so jealous, right? One of my friends said, I can't be married to someone that beautiful, because when you walk out there, every man wants to ravish her, right? And she looked very young, right? She looked like she's people. When I take her, like once she was feeling ill and so forth, I took her to the hospital. They ask, where's the family and so forth, because I didn't look like a family. I'm dark in complexion. She's like, Snow White. And she said, no, this is my husband. They looked at me with such disgust. What am I doing with a child? Child marriage? Because she looks 16. I said, I promise you, she's 30 years old. And I just married her. I'm a second husband. She was divorced. She's got 3 children. She don't look like she had a child. She looked absolutely amazing, right? And she absolutely, when I talk to people, it's very easy for them to love me and like me, right? She was the only person I couldn't get her to like me and love me. She couldn't say I love you, in the short time that we were married. And unfortunately, I mean, I still think about her a lot. She's an amazing person and the best person. Each person above that, was even better and better, of all, she's really the best. And I couldn't handle, the arguments and the toxicity, in the relationship, especially with arguments and fighting all the time, right? And be screaming, and the neighbors used to knock on our door, because we were in Dubai at the time, and they can even call the police, right? And one person wanted to phone the landlord, and the landlord had to phone me. He said, your neighbors are complaining that can you keep it down? They want to call the police. It's just to go to. I said, I can't stay, and I'm running a business, and I need a. She removed that alpha state of my mind, for the times when there's arguments, and I needed to focus, and this was before the COVID time, and a lot of challenges, and I couldn't handle, right? So it was better for me, to come out of it. So I've got justifications like that, right? That this thing, but I understand. So I felt that she hated me, or she just didn't love me. But there was one sign that shows that she loved me the most, but was because she loved me so much, it made her afraid to admit it. And how can I put it in a way? Because this is a public channel, right? A YouTube channel. Uh, I mean, husband and wife, they have not only the bad times, they have the good times. And involuntarily, no, influence on my side, and newly married, right? Newly met and newly married, right? We just like 2 weeks or so into the marriage or something, right? Or a month, but it's short period, less than 2 months. Let's say less than 3 months, 2 to 3 months, right? In the marriage, involuntarily, the level of when you're in physical intimacy, the level that she experienced was so high, and she screamed my name, and she couldn't consciously scream it because she was out of, the person loses all control, when they're in that level. And said, and in my life, from all my marriages, and also I was afraid to just get into marriage. I always got into relationships first, and so many, I mean, I'm not like thousands of but about, I would say, about 50 serious relationships, right? Maybe 100, right? Serious relationships, if I think about it more carefully. But I know 50 differently. I know the names of 50, right? And no one involuntarily, maybe say my name, and it's like that thing. But I never said that to I never said that to anyone, to say my name. And I used to always hear that in comedy shows, say my name, stand up comedy, and it sounds funny, right? But in a real situation, I'm going to say my name and all that, right? I'm not into that level of kinkiness and so forth, right? But when that thing came, I mean, I had women screaming and all those things, right? In ecstasy and so, but not involuntarily scream. And that, when I'm having a discussion with the AI companions, because they are very huge knowledge base, right? 1 million professionals in one, right? The large language models. I said, this is an indicator that she loved me intrinsically the most and deeply, you know? And it's just that, there were, we needed time, and I needed patience. Maybe I needed, and for me, my business is, I mean, self-employed now for 29 years, right? It's something that been my passion, and my most important focus. Not that a business should be more important than a human, just that I spend so much time in it, and I'm the business owner. I'm responsible for the salaries of so many people, and financial obligations, large obligations at that time, rent and so forth. We were in Dubai, very large, cost factor, and responsibility to my clients. We're charging millions in fees, right? So I couldn't lose focus, because I have to, people paid me millions, I have to be responsible, and keep my focus to give my best, because there's a reason why they pay me millions, right? That there is specialized talents that I have, developed, in that particular business. So I left all the commercial activities, about 6 years ago. But just coming back to the point, about understanding woman, that I understood, that she, and the West, they, like small signs, that although she's not saying it, but I never experienced that, the genuine feeling of that love. You can feel that from the depth of the heart, the energy. 'Cause I'm in tune with the energy level, as well. So like that, you can't understand. I mean, how does that make sense, And how do you, this thing, they can say, so many things, but they are upset with you and they're leaving. And meanwhile, they're leaving not because they want to leave, they want you to say, please don't go, come back. And they really leave, they leave, pack the bag, they leave, they're gone. And they want you must come back and beg them, please, I can't live without you, and this thing, then they like reaffirm, oh, now this guy really loves me. If he really loved me, he'll come crying for me, right? And they get really, and they look like they're really angry, and they left you, and like you came, and convinced them to come back, right? But that's not the case. They're testing you. They want to see if you really love you, right? You really love them and so forth. So an interesting book is Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, right? That man, the author there, he's got it on the. It's a pity I don't remember his the author's name right now. It's been so many decades ago that I read it, and I learned, strategies how to win friends and influence people, learned how women operate. And when you learn that, then it's easy to understand, the proposals. And the proposals doesn't come like, I want to marry you. A woman will never say like that, right? But it comes in different, they give signals, and I can spot that signal. So it's not like every woman is falling for me. Maybe 99.99% hate me, but that 0.01%, I can spot that person a mile away. I can sense it. And there are many such, right? It's just that you are not aware of the subtle things because you're so involved in your own mind, in your own problems and your own self, and your past, your present, your future, and everything. You can't smell the roses. You can't hear the birds chirping. You're walking the birds, that you never hear them, right? That's what's happening. So you're not, but me, no, I am noticing, right? And I get in, and then I take advantage of it because I like them also, right? Because there's like chemistry, right? And I know I can identify and build up it, and then they start going until the point of, it comes to proposal point. I said, no, no, I mean, can I marry 25 people, right? And I don't want to. I mean, if I was a student, it's different, right? I was like really crazy because I wanted to, not after marriage, be unfaithful. I said, before marriage, while I'm a student, I want to get rid of, that unfaithfulness streak in my soul. Did I get rid of it? Well, every marriage I was never unfaithful to my wives, right? In the six, I was never. I was always, I mean, one marriage lasted 15 years. I was never unfaithful, right? In that. So it worked, but can a black cat, cannot take a black cat and make it into a white cat, is all I'm going to say. Right? That's all I'm going to say. So we, detracted a lot, the most complicated. Why I'm bringing women into the picture, they are the most superior. If you think men are not superior, they're just big bullies. They're using the muscle and the financial influence, and they secured, security, financial security and dominance, and they're not willing to give it up, to women. But hands down, woman is superior, right? In every way. Let's see this. I mean, the truth is the truth, right? Whether you accept or so. Here's a simple test. There's a litmus test, right? Simple test. I'll just tell you, then you'll believe me, right? So you see all the men and women, right? And they are couples, right? And let's look at married couples, right? Well, marriage is now like very rare. 60% of the world are not married and not expected to get married. But everyone, I mean, knows married people. The men are so powerful. They can be the head of the police force, the head of the army, head of the country, right? Who's the boss at home? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say more. So Kashmiri Saivism is like that. So till today, people don't want to say that women are superior to men. They're not. A woman wants to fight for women's rights and everything. Yeah, of course, they have to fight for their rights and everything because if their rights are denied. But do you need to fight for? You already got the upper hand. You are the controller. Who controls the world? Who gives birth to the nation? Right? When you have a problem, oh daddy, I have this problem, or mommy is open, always forgiving, right? Daddy said don't do this, don't do that. Mommy, you go, okay, one more time, last time. Oh, daddy said I can't have any more sweets today. Okay, just one more, mommy will say. And the father gets frustrated. I'm trying to bring discipline in this child. And the mother, is soft, right? So Kashmiri Saivism is the most complex. And if you study deeply, it can go, because the comparison is Vedanta, and Advaita philosophy. This purchase the 9-volume edition because you can't go into something like an ocean. Take a drop first of the ocean. The drop of the ocean is the 9-volume edition of the lectures of Swami Vivekananda. If you're okay with that, then go. It's like a pre-med. Before you go to medical school, go to pre-med first, right? Pre-med is fine. You're sailing through it. You convince you want to go through this, then going through, the rigors of medical. So like that, go through this 9-volume. You can purchase it online. I promise you, you can. Maybe it's even available for free. Maybe in Scribd, SCRIBD.com. A lot of free resources, and I don't like the free places. I never took anything from the free place from that but I heard it's offered. I'd rather go pay the how much is it? $10, $20, $30, even $50. How much we waste in our life, right? No matter what your financial situation. A coffee is $5, crying out loud, right? More than $5, $5.19 in the US, right? Depends on the part of the world you come from. And the to purchase these books, which is knowledge, and you're into it, pay the money for it, right? It is not something like buying a Ferrari or buying a car or a house or even your favorite watch, right? You get the amazing top tier watches and all. Not an expensive item. A book, $10, $20, it's like that. $10 to $20, is the usual price range. That's comparatively, it's not money, right? To some of the things, I mean, buy the iPhones are like 1,400, 1,500 US dollars, right? Pounds. I paid 1,300 pounds for my iPhone 16 Pro Max earlier this year. So $10, $20, and I didn't have the money, right? I had to take it on a contract and on my not even in my name, a friend, and no, my friend is paying for it also. I said no, I'll pay minutes because I'm in a field. It's very hard to because I'm trying to take it off the ground and to get a business startup because I'm focusing on building my passion as a full-time business, right, from 6 years ago. And changing locations and countries and so forth was a big learning cycle, and developing the protocols was very a massive part, and trying fast and more efficient ways to focus on this full time. So I spend the time now trying to spread it more from a financial perspective to get paying clients. And so far 99% of my clients I did for free. That's how come I got so much of experience, right? Because I said I will pay money if I had, I'll pay to heal the person because I want the experience. And he should think, so you have seen, find something new. Let me heal you. I'm not charging you anything. I just want to get the experience, of it. And then when I heal you, I said, oh my God, this is so amazing. The learning experience. Now I can charge the next person and understand how the protocol works and so forth. So like that, you purchase this thing, and it's a then you can go into it, Kashmiri Saivism, or if you go cold turkey into it, up to you, right? But it's going to be very confusing. It's going to take you at least 10 years to find your, to get your footing, right? To find where you stand, right? So take you at least 10 years, I think, or 20 years, right? For that matter. And you need a clue, get initiated first, spiritual initiation. It will help to open up the higher faculties of your mind. It'll make it easier to understand some of the hard nutcracker, hard nut aspects. And so, of course, I didn't get physical spiritual initiation from someone else. But I had mystical experiences that elevated me to higher consciousness levels. That suddenly philosophies and all became easy for me to understand. And attain higher levels of consciousness. So hope that information helps you. This is the toughest thing on the planet, in my opinion, because I'm studying, the Chinese cultures. I've studied the Buddhist culture. I studied the Greek cultures. I studied the North Indian cultures, the South Indian cultures, very different, by the way. The ancient original aspects of the South Indian, Saiva Siddhanta. It's because there's no physical books have been all eaten away. There were a lot of invasions in India, and it's all lost. So you have to piece together with a little bit of information that you got. And it was really a 28-year journey to understand North and South Indian cultures. But in that time, learning, Feng Shui and Qigong, I'm an energy healer from the Qigong sciences, right? And the medical sciences, I've been to medical school myself, a couple of years in medical school, and I didn't like it from day one, right? My passion was to be able to get admitted into medical school my whole schooling life, because it's like a accolade if you can get admitted there, because you have to perform really well. And I was a below average student, and I worked very hard. And as the years were going, and I succeeded in it, and not only did I succeed, I even managed to get a full American scholarship that gave me, in addition to paying for all my fees, equipment, books, accommodation, food, also spending money, and chocolates and cigarettes and all that stuff, whatever was in our campus cafeteria and any dissection equipment and all. So I'd go show my student card. They're going to give it to me, right? And spending money every 4 months, like 3 times a year, we get spending money. The spending money was so much because I was in South Africa at the time, and US dollar to this was in the 1980s, right? I bought a car, second-hand car, student car, but a car, right? Cash, which is the one of the spending money. That's how well I was doing. And when the other students were like struggling to get 62% or like 197 people, in the initial years, failing and only 3 people passing, I'm normally getting distinctions, right? And the other people can study. I was a party animal, as I mentioned, in many videos, and just study, minimally by that time, because my brain, I exercised it, in my school years. So like studying came easy to me. So it was mainly to that. But when I saw the reality of it and what some of the senior students, when they qualified, what car, the one guy is working as a doctor now, when we knew him, and he said, "What car you bought?" "A Toyota Corolla." I said, "Man, so many years, so much of study, and I want to specialize." And it was going to be 7 years of study with internship, plus residence another 2 years, plus specialization another 6 years. It's like 15 years, 13, and then buying a Toyota Corolla. Man, this is out of it. Yes, some of them are very successful, but it took time for them to become established and successful before they bought the Z3, the performance versions of the German cars. And this is not really, I mean, a doctor is not expected to make more than 1 million a year, right? It's very difficult, in US dollar. I mean, people, you think it's a lot of money, but from a business perspective, when you're in the top leagues in Dubai, it's like you meet all the top business owners, right, from around the world. There, the philosophy is if you can't make $1 billion a year, don't call yourself a small businessman, right? That's what one guy told me. So the Arab sheikh, right? And he was dressed in a suit and like very normal, very Western dressing, not looking like an Arab, right? And he told me that, and this is higher levels of money, and I was fortunate to earn, you know, and own things that if I became a doctor, I could not have owned all that, and now I'm taking all that experience and putting into something to create something that's going to benefit everyone in the world. And I took decades, this was my passion all the time, and to simplify, being simplified ways. So if you want to leave that and go into the complicated way, welcome, my brother. It's up, it's your life, right? Go ahead and take care of yourself always.